Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the first of hopefully what will be more live shows with BarberDave Shaves and such. We'll try to say hi to everybody as quickly as we can as we go through and everything. So, Douglas, welcome. Eric, more gooder, and Almy, welcome to the show. Uh, the whether we do more shows down the road will be determined by this show and whether you guys like it and put it in the comments. Today's agenda, for lack of a better term, we are going to talk about what's been happening in the traditional shaving community as far as the shuttering of some of the artisan retailers and soap makers, and we do have a artisan retailer with us today. Now, granted, I am a little bit biased. Welcome, Chris. Welcome, Tig Lily, as he is also my partner on the shaving cadre. And so we also have some traditional shavers from various experience levels and stuff like that. So it's going to be more or less a roundtable discussion. And then towards the end, we'll start to take some of your questions for all of us, and then also talk about the barbering community. So let's go ahead and get started right away. And I will tell you, I hope none of you guys are non-smokers because I will be smoking a cigar through this. And since it's our first show, it is going to be a Padron. So one of my favorites. Anyhow, so the first person that I'm going to bring onto the panel is Chris Lindsay. Chris Lindsay is the owner-operator of CBLSoaps.com. If you have not checked him out, you need to. He is one of the artisans that I guess is surviving this shuttering thing. And he started CBL Soaps in 2018. And some of the things he enjoys are bold scents, tallow-based, but not always. And he likes using both DE, SE, and straight razors, but he prefers single edge over the DEs. He got into wet shaving because he was looking for that old barbershop smell and a bunch of other things. And I think you'll find we'll find a common thread with that in a lot of people. So let's go ahead and welcome, please, Chris to the stage. Welcome, Chris.
Hey, Dave. Thanks for having me.
We certainly appreciate it. And we're going to get into more detail with your stuff here in just a minute. Our next panel member is, you probably don't need any introduction. He is my partner on Drinks and Dave's, Nurse Dave. And yes, he is a nurse, believe it or not. He's been traditional shaving for over a decade. And he started, kind of interesting, because somebody was buying L&L After the Rain soap in a shaving thread on a wine forum. So what's more fun than drunk people on wine talking about shaving? And he usually picks his stuff on scent, but he is a little particular on the types of soap. It needs to be a higher end or top tier soap. He likes open blade shaving, DE shaving, SE shaving, but and the reason why he likes the open blade shaving is specifically for the extra technique, but he falls back to the Rockwell 65 and Winter Rush. So everybody, let's go ahead and welcome Nurse Dave. Hey, Dave.
Hey, Dave. Hey, Chris.
I see him all the time.
Oh, sorry.
And then next on the list is somebody you probably all know from the show. It's Major Rich. And he's been traditional shaving for about 15 years. Started with an electric. And he found his dad's old Fat Boy and started from there. And he loves Swedish razors. And we'll talk more about that into detail. And of course, he does like single edge and DE razors as well. So let's go ahead and welcome Rich to the stage. Hey, Rich, how are you, buddy?
Hi, guys. Yeah,
I think we have a real good panel today. And then finally, we have Josh. Now, Josh has been around a long time. He started his wet shaving career in about 2015, but he did take a little bit of a hiatus. And the reason why why we chose Josh to come in is he's been away from it. And what happens is those of us that are, number one, in the business, number two, are around the forums constantly, get kind of fuzzy brained because there's so much going on. And so the uniqueness of Josh's perspective on being, having stepped away from the items and then coming back would be good. So everybody, let's go ahead and welcome Dagwoods, Josh, and these are all folks from the forum. So appreciate it. Give you guys a little bit of a round. Now, as far as me, I've been wet shaving, traditional shaving for probably 30 years now, and mostly straight razors. And a bunch of us here were on another forum, and things occurred, things we didn't agree with, and we decided to start our own forum. So all of us are from the shaving cadre, but we all have unique perspectives on the shaving community. And if I haven't said hi to anybody yet, Joseph Kramer, Flame, welcome. And like I said, if you have questions, please kind of hold it off. And so let's talk about this. I do have one statement that I want to make, and it's really kind of apropos. I received these. I received this via email a couple days ago. I mean, maybe even a week ago. And since we're going to be talking about why soap companies are shuttering their doors or ceasing operations, this came out pretty good. Those of us that have been around the wet shaving community for a while know Seaforth. Seaforth was a company that was in the 30s and 40s, died in the 70s and 80s, and then Dennis and his family brought back Spearhead Shaving and the Seaforth brand. However, many of us who really love his product found out earlier in the year that he was going to be shuttering as of January 1. So I'm going to read you this quick statement that came out from him. As you may already know, I have decided to wind down Spearhead and Seaforth. It was a 6-year passion project that achieved more than he could have imagined, but the time is right to step back. Vintage Seaforth faded into obscurity in the 70s and 80s. The hardest decision I faced was whether to let that happen again or have someone else carry on the vision, which is what most of us thought. We thought it was going to just fade away, but we've got good news. Those of you that are familiar with Mammoth, know who Ben Esposito is. He also has a channel as well. But he is elated to announce that Ben Esposito will be taking over the Seaforth brand in 2026. Ben needs no introduction from the House of Mammoth. His products were very, very good in the wet shaving space, and his vision and approach to the business are why Dennis is excited to pass the reins. The spirit and vision of Seaforth have always been our top priorities. The people who buy our products feel more like partners than customers, and Ben treats his business the same way. So Dennis, in closing, says, "Thank you for allowing us to experience this adventure. I will always be among the things I'm most proud of. I can't wait for the next chapter as a spectator." Now, Ben Esposito from House of Mammoth came back and said, "Hello, everyone. I'm truly honored by Dennis's trust. I'm excited to help guide Seaforth into its next chapter. My hope is to carry forward everything he built, the spirit, the heritage, and the sense of community that brings this brand special. To keep things seamless, Vita from Chicago Grooming Company will be making all the Seaforth products with the same care and quality you've come to expect from Seaforth and House of Mammoth. Everyone who's enjoyed Seaforth products know the scents are beautifully done. Thanks to Dennis's and Sean's vision, we're excited that Sean is already working on the next Seaforth release, which is called Epee. We look forward to relaunching Seaforth on January 26th and sharing more with you as we get closer. Thank you for being a part of this journey, Ben Esposito." So those of us that really like Seaforth, this was good news to see what's going on. So let me just open it up to you guys real quick. What do you think about that? And let's start with you, Chris, since you're a soap maker. What do you think about that?
It's interesting. It's good that a brand is continuing. It's also interesting from my perspective, inside looking out. The way I do my business, the way I make my soap is very different than the way somebody else might. And the concept of being able to buy a brand, especially an old brand, is both really cool and kind of foreign, because you don't know what are you getting. So the first thing people are going to be watching, I'm sure, is what am I getting? Is it the same thing? Because I remember, I don't know, it's got to be 6 years ago now, when people bought Seaforth wondering, is this Seaforth?
Right.
So there'll be a lot of people that come running back to see, is this Seaforth? And it sounds like the plan is to continue making it in the old, pretty much you have a different CEO, not necessarily a different manufacturer.
Right.
But it'll be interesting because most people come back and give it a try to see, which is neat. And it's really neat to be able to have something to carry on.
Well, exactly. And I think, I think you guys will agree with this, and I'll get to your guys' comments in a minute, is that traditional shavers, especially people that are very brand loyal, can be extremely critical. Mm-hmm. So, Ben will have a little bit of an uphill battle, but the fact that he had House of Mammoth is going to help. So I'm going to get your comments real quick. I just want to go back real quick to say hi to everybody. So Flame X7P, welcome. Thank you very much. Douglas Lane, and if you don't know who Doug is the owner and operator of Adopted Acre Soap. So we've got another soap maker in here that have people have been trying, and we'll probably have Doug on the show at some point. And then, of course, the Texan Shaves. Now, most of these folks, obviously we have, have their own channels. We've got 20 folks in here right now. If you want to introduce yourself, please do. We'll try to get to you. So let me open this up to Dave, Doug, and Josh and Rich on what you think about the whole Seaforth rebranding. And you guys take it however you want to take it. Whoever
Well,
wants to start.
what I remember from Mammoth is his soaps are super hard to get, right? I mean, normally when you went onto the website, they were sold out, and I was looking on eBay if I ever wanted to experience one. So I'm curious how this will affect the Mammoth soap brand as well, if he's going to have increased manufacturing, because it sounds like whoever's making the soap is going to continue to make the soap, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
So that's what's interesting, because I keep telling myself it can't be about the money all the time, because there's people like that, like Mammoth sells out all the time. There's other ones that sold out all the time, but then ended up closing up their shop. So they were making money whenever they wanted to produce soaps.
Sure.
But
sure.
obviously it was a work-life balance thing or something we didn't know. So.
Sure. Well, and and Chris, we'll get to this in just a few minutes. And as Doug was saying right now, that Chicago Grooming now makes his soap, and you can get Mammoth pretty easy now. So I think it's probably a consolidation. So real quick, Rich, your thoughts on it, and then I want to get Josh's thoughts, like I said, from stepping back. Go ahead, Rich.
Well, artisan soaps in general, it's a niche market in the first place. And then when you have a whole bunch of artisans, it's kind of hard to break in. And so you have a manufacturer or somebody who's breaking into it, it has to put in double, triple, quadruple time just to get his name out there, get recognition, get people buying it. And then you just have to drive. And I can see where burnout would start to happen, or you start to run out of steam. You can maintain that energy for a while, but unless you get really good penetration into the market, you're just not. It's going to be a losing. If it doesn't get picked up right away, it has to be a clearly superior product for that to take off, and you've seen that happen before. And it's unfortunate because all the soaps that we're talking about are amazing. They're really good soaps. Exactly. So I'm hoping that going to a new manufacturer, a new place where they're made, I hope they can keep that quality up. Scents can drift a little bit, and people will notice that right away and complain, like you've mentioned.
Sure.
We just hope that the product maintains the quality that we're used to.
Well, we're going to go into that as part of our discussion too, on how certain soaps changed from tallow to vegan and then faded away. Probably the most recognizable would be Williams, and we'll talk about that as well. But Josh, before we go on, I wanted to get your take on the fact, since you had stepped back from the whole shaving community. What do you think about, because you jump back in and all of a sudden you see, companies shuttering and stuff like that. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's interesting just for the simple fact that as somebody who enjoys collecting soaps, I've got so many soaps in my garage that are buried that I can't get to that I'll never be able to use in my lifetime. But Seaforth is one of those soaps I haven't been able to use yet.
Right.
So, from that perspective, when I heard Seaforth was shuttering, it was a little disappointing. I'm excited that Mammoth is taking the label. I honestly think this is a natural evolution. If you really think about it, and you look at any other commercial enterprise, there's naturally going to be a consolidation, as Rich was pointed out, of brands. Whether it's due to, I pointed out in the forum when they were talking about declaration that, this could have been a passion project where the passion ran out. It could have been a factor of diminishing returns, or it could just be something simple as there was a 10-year shelf life or a 5-year shelf life on the company. And when that time ran up, it was time to close it.
Right.
and all of those things need to be taken into consideration. It is good that they're consolidating under a single soap maker to keep the brand going, because this was a lost brand,
Right.
that was rejuvenated.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
But you bring up a good, interesting process, and we'll get into that here in just a second. Chris, before we go into, you've got a unique perspective because you own CBLSoaps.com. Everybody here has used CBL soaps.
Mhm.
Most of the people on my channel have been turned on to CBL soaps, but you are a small artisan maker, and and so you could have found yourself in the same position as any of these people that have shuttered. And I just want to go over a quick few. Williams was a huge soap maker. You could buy their soaps for 50 cents. It was tallow. It was, everybody loved it. And it just faded into obscurity because maybe it was a little bit too plain for some. Plus, Williams, the big company, is now owned by another conglomerate. And they probably said, what's wet shaving? Penhaligon's did the same thing. Their shaving division is pretty much gone. But your larger companies like TrueFit and Hill, the shaving is a secondary. Their barbershops and their fragrances are first. One standout artisan maker that has weathered this would be Sterling. But I think you'll agree that Sterling has diversified its product: shaving soaps, bath soaps, coffee, shampoos, stuff like that. So they always have, no matter how many soaps you have in Sterling, there may be something else you want to try. So it keeps that thing going. Plus, coffee is something that's renewable on a much quicker level than shaving soaps. But I want to mention one right off the bat, that St. Charles Shave. Now, granted, she passed away, but she was beloved by people. But there's so many soap makers that have gone by the wayside. And actually, if you go on Etsy, and I did this before the show, you go on Etsy, and there are soap makers that nobody's ever heard of that are making soaps and stuff like that. But most of them are using it as a sideline. So I guess, Chris, my question to you would be, and guys on the panel and folks in the audience, if you have a question for Chris, please post it and we'll get it up as quick as we can. What do you think, as a soap maker and as an artisan, what do you think the factors are, number one, for longevity, number two, for why shuttering? And I know Josh had mentioned, it may have been just a passion project and that passion ran out. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm sure. Well, first off, let me disclaimer. I don't speak for any soap maker by name or otherwise. Whether I mention them or not doesn't mean I know enough about them.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that we can agree that what I do say is probably representative of at least some group of artisan soap makers. So artisan soap makers, like myself, by definition, we are the business, the manufacturing, the marketing, A to Z, everything. And a good number of us, if not all of us, effectively make it in our kitchen. I don't make it in my kitchen, but I don't have a factory making it. It's not a white label product. So there's a lot that goes in upfront. The upfront costs to be able to make a batch or two batches or whatever of soap. There's a lot of outlay in advance. So, for example, the apothecary oil that I make, in order to make a batch of that, I have to buy at least, it used to be $900 worth of oils. It's more now. Well, I'm phasing out apothecary oil because I don't want to spend that much right now, and then have it sit on the shelf as unearned money. One thing I'll say about CBL soaps anyway is I haven't really taken an income from it. Anything I make from it goes right back into it. It's not a cost to my household, a cost to me. And I can't say that's the case for all other artisans. If you're going into it, you're doing it to make money. And I have made money. It's just that I've left most of it there so I can use it to buy new fragrance oils or something and enjoy that aspect of it.
Well, let me interrupt you. Let me interrupt you real
Go ahead.
quick because A.M. Ollie's got a question, and this probably leads right into that. And that basically says, is CBL soap your full-time job, or for lack of a better term, is it a side hustle?
Yeah. And actually, that's in my notes here. I was going to say it part of the reason I think a lot of businesses shutter is it is a side hustle for me. And I think it's a side hustle for most artisans. Sterling, my perception anyway, based on what I know, it's not a side hustle for Sterling. Thank God for Sterling. You have to have an anchor in the industry for us to all hold on to. Love or hate Sterling, I think they're wonderful, but at least they exist every day. Every day, you know, you can go to Sterling, which is beautiful. But that second job effect is both a blessing and a curse. Second job being working from home is a blessing and a curse. Blessing is it's not life or death, feed yourself or don't feed yourself. You're sharing the cost with the household and stuff. The curse is it takes away time that you're done with your regular job, and now you're going to do CBL soap, and it comes out of my family time. The space I occupy comes out of my household, so it does come with a cost. It's just that you don't see it, but over the years you feel it. And something as simple as a poorly timed, maybe perfectly valid, but poorly timed customer complaint that just kind of hits you via email, and you're like, screw it, I'm done. All because somebody, and again, perfectly valid. I mean, whatever. It's not a matter of you scoundrel. It's you're feeling it, and then someone just comes in, and rather than say thank you, they're saying, I don't like this or something wrong. And that can be a kick in the teeth at the time that you just didn't want to hear it.
Sure.
And it for me, I can say when the business started, I want to say 2018, it was right about the time the forum kicked
That
off.
we started the forum, right?
So, you know, I had a main job, forum soap. It was a blessing in that it did generate a good amount of money that I was able to use. We had medical bills that were totally unexpected, and it helped. You know, which was good. But ever since then, I've just turned all the money back in, and it's a hobby, not a hobby. The money is for my hobby. I like to create. I have so many oils, scent oils that I'll never use, but rather than buy something, I can just make it myself. Or my daughter wants a fragrance, I make it for her.
Well, and you've done something that I think a lot of other soap makers don't have the ability to do, and I don't say that in a negative way. And before we get any further, I really wanted to welcome Noble Otter Soaps here. So we have another soap maker here, and we'll get into Noble Otter. I don't want to kiss butt too much to Noble Otter, but there's some things about that soap that are just unbelievable. But we'll go on to that in a minute. But I think what you mentioned there is really important from a standpoint that you know. It is a side hustle, but the fact of the matter is that you, being smaller, for lack of a better term, have been able to take customer requests out of the blue and just make something, you know, where most of your larger makers, i.e. Sterling, I would argue Noble Otter, they don't have the infrastructure to be able to stop production on something and say, oh, you want one tub of cherry banana or whatever the case may be. Now, I know that Doug from Adopted Acres, he does everything in-house very uniquely. And in other shows, we'll go into that when we have them, because obviously we'll try to have Noble Otter on, and we'll try to have Doug on as well. So with that being said, Chris, do you have an opinion as to why you think the smaller ones have decided to shutter? Because it seems like we saw more this year, and you can get into the whole, you know, cost of goods and everything else. But is there one defining factor that you think that would cause people to say, you know what, we're done?
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, it's a very generic answer, but it is it's a return on investment. And the investment may be dollars, it may be time, it may be passion. So when I say investment, I mean any of those boxes.
Sure.
And the return doesn't have to be huge. It just has to outweigh anything else. And that might be the loss of passion. But when you add up, I mean, one of the things I've said this many years ago, and I said I'd close my business when this happens. Well, it happens almost every day now. The post office makes more money than I do per transaction.
Sure.
Shipping a flat rate, it can be as much. A flat rate bubble envelope can be $12. I charge $6.50 flat shipping.
Right.
Okay. Either way, no matter what the volume of my order is, they're making $12 on it. PayPal or any payment processor is making about 4%. You know, there's little things that everyone else is making money, And when you perceive that you're not making as much, and it's money or time or enjoyment, when that ratio flips, you step back.
Sure.
And you could see, in a way, CBO soaps has stepped back. I mean, I'm wanting to redo some things, so I need to get rid of some stock to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that might be, it's unfortunately, it's not a really pat answer, but I think it encompasses it. Of course, costs have gone up. Shipping costs are just stupid.
Right.
But they are what they are. I mean, and I do have the option of just charging what it costs to ship.
I have a question, Dave.
Sure, go ahead.
For Chris, but you and Rich both mentioned market penetration, and sitting here, seeing who's on the screen and who's in the chat, realizing that it's probably a very small percentage of traditional shavers that buy this type of product that are part of like a forum or a YouTube page, and you can get a half of a forum in love with your brand of soap, and then another forum not even mention it, right? And that's not enough to survive on. Yeah. And just like this, I've never tried C4 either, just because there's too much to try. And so I'm curious if Chris has an idea, and maybe it's just like going viral. It's just luck. Is how do you get outside of these niche kind of communities to the bigger community that could support a full-time company like that?
I think first thing is our first instinct, because we're encapsulated in our own little forums or groups, that you think, just because it's Nurse Dave, it's been a while since you bought one of my soaps. We can both agree. But we also can both agree you bought quite a bit of my soap when you did. Yeah. Okay. Whether you buy another soap or not, there's somebody else coming in and buying it. There's always a transaction happening. There's plenty of business to go around. And it comes and goes. I'm fortunate to be part of a forum, and we don't leverage the forum to my benefit. I think we can all agree.
Yeah, no, we don't.
I mean, there's no like pounding the CBL everywhere. I mean, if it is, it's a natural conversation, which is the way I would want it, because everyone needs to exist. I think what I don't do that others do that's probably very beneficial is the Facebook and Instagrams and all that stuff. There's a lot of people that follow that, and I do get. I'll get a transaction and I'll ask them, where did you come from? And it's because somebody on Instagram posted their shave of the day, and they have a conversation with that person.
And even the YouTube channels, the YouTube channels. Yeah.
I can tell I'll go through phases where all of a sudden, and my wife will even see, did Dave do a show again? Because it's all the same product. It's all the same soap going out the door. And it's not always Dave. Sometimes it's like totally, it's not always Dave. It's not, more often than not, it's not Dave, but it's somebody triggered all these soaps to go out the door. The same thing.
Well, we found that out when, and I guess I should preface this, for those people that came in late, Chris and I are business partners in the shaving cadre. And what Chris said is very true. When we had our business meetings with our other partner, Chad, we wanted to make sure that there was no favoritism towards any one brand per se. And I think we do a very good job of that. But what I wanted to mention is that I think it's very important that some of these soap makers do have penetration in the forums. We all know the bigger forums, the smaller forums and stuff like that. And I think, and I'll plug the Shaving Cadre only because this is my channel, is that we offer our artisan vendors a very, very reasonable amount of money for a return of investment, with the fact that they have their own store, their own mall, that they can interact anywhere in the forum about their product, where some forums don't allow that. So I will say that, but the return of investment thing I think is important. And what Dave mentioned is also very important. Before I forget this, I just want to get this out there in regards to Noble Otter and Adopted Acres. Two totally different tier levels at this point, but they both have certain things that in my mind as a traditional shaver, it's very important to me, and that's a hook, because obviously being a business owner in a barbershop, I want to have a hook as well. But what I noticed with Noble Otter, aside from the quality of the products, is the artwork. I think everybody here can agree that the artwork with Noble Otter is just outstanding. And there's always one consistency, and that's the otter. And I think that cuteness, believe it or not, I've bought soaps from him based on, okay, what's the otter wearing this week, and it turns out that it's great stuff. So let's back up a little bit and let's ask Rich and Josh, based on what Chris is saying from a business owner standpoint, as a traditional shaver out in the marketplace, spending your hard-earned money, what are your thoughts on that? Because I think Josh, we're saturated with so much. And when do you decide to pick the one? So go ahead, either one of you, whoever wants to start.
So I'll start. I can tell you, when I started shaving traditional wet shaving in 2015, I was deployed in Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea who to talk to. There was one guy that was out there who was fully bearded, who had shaved with a straight razor before, and that was where my interest came in. And I just started doing a little bit of research, and I found the other place. But when it came to purchasing soaps, the first place I went was Amazon. Why? Because Amazon I could get an Amazon box to Kabul in 6 days.
Mm-hmm.
So what I saw on there was, of course, you had your Razor Rock on there. But the one artisan that was on there was PAA. Now you can say what you want about Doug. And
that's that.
That's an entirely different subject.
Mm-hmm.
But I will give Doug a lot of credit because he managed to use Amazon as a marketing tool for his business. And it was a reason why he's still going so strong today, is because he used that as a marketing tool, not just to increase his sales, but if somebody wants to look up traditional wet shaving, and your soaps are some of the first that come up on Amazon,
that's gold.
Well, oh, Josh froze up a little. Yeah, well, it's all about it's all about SEO, search engine optimization, and how you can get to that search engine optimization is very important. Hopefully, Josh will come back. There he is. Got frozen up a little bit, but so continue with what you were saying, Josh. Okay,
he's stunned.
Rich, go ahead.
The Amazon angle, and to Chris's point there, I don't know if what do we call it, fulfillment. A lot of times, Amazon will fulfills the order, and I don't know if that is another benefit of becoming aligned with them. But you get eyes on your product through a consolidated marketing plan. Essentially, it's consolidated advertising is Amazon, because it's a shave soaps, and then you've got a PAA, and you've got Sterling, and you've got all the various niche market, and there are a lot of small soap makers on Amazon, which is neat to see. My big limiting factor, what motivates me for soaps, there's kind of two or three things. One is if I have space, because somebody, I'm not going to mention any names, but she's back there, has limited the amount of space that I'm allowed to have for soaps. And then part B is there's some fragrances which is what slows things down, is because I'm hesitant to spend $25 or $30 for the soap, and then aftershave after that on something that, once again, is something that she's going to either go, I like that, or that is terrible. What did you buy that for? And that was what motivated my whole soap buying thing, was to find the one fragrance that makes her go, wow. And well, last,
wow.
Rich wants a special order. I'll work on that, Rich.
Yeah, you know what, Chris? If you got to call it bow chicka bow wow.
Coming out in 2026.
But we touched on this, and I think it is a no-brainer about the diversification of product, because and Chris pointed out perfectly true. Now I feel guilty. I'm gonna go buy some of the soap, but
I don't have anything you want. It's all the same stuff. Haven't made anything
But-
new.
But
Real quick,
when they're
I'm sorry
stacked up,
to interrupt you, Dave. Just because somebody's got to leave. Joe Kramer, appreciate it, Barrett. Hey, I'll have to go, but want to say thank you, everyone, for all you do. Much appreciated. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we wish everybody good. So thank you so much, Joseph. We hope to see you again. Okay, sorry about that, Dave. Go ahead.
No. But I was going to say, when I had my soaps all stacked up, I could see them all. I had more CBL than anything else. But the fact that when you buy so many soaps, we've all mentioned this, there's a soap you haven't used for 2 years. And so I'm pulling out stuff from when he first started up. And it's like, how do you, when there's that much out there, how do you keep people coming back to your company? And it's the consumables, right? Other than, either you buy 1 or 2 soaps and you have a loyal fan, but that's got to be rare too, right?
Well, even then, though, there's people that have bought. I could use the name. I won't. There's people that buy multiples of the same soap instead of just one. They're never going to use them all, and
because we've become hoarders.
Hoarders, yeah. So, but one of the things that I'm doing, that I've done a little bit at a time, and I'm going to do more, is we don't need 4-ounce tubs. 3 ounces in a tub are enough. Price accordingly. It's harder to do than just filling the tub. You have to use a disher that you have to have tools to make sure you're getting them 3 ounces and stuff. But 3 ounces in a 9-ounce low profile tub looks like you forgot to fill the thing. But rather than charge for a full tub or take profit margin loss on a full tub, people only want, they want to finish a tub. There's somebody probably listening to this show, or will listen sooner or later, that he orders from me. He's international, and he uses the stuff up. He shows me pictures of empty tubs, and he uses them, and he doesn't just buy my stuff. He buys other people's stuff, but they're empty. And he's like, I used it all. I don't, how did you use it all?
I think there's a term that we all use. It's called 307-ing, meaning that we would not be able to finish a specific soap until 3017. And then you get into the whole subject about soft soaps versus hard soaps, and I will mention one that PDP 63. My tub
doesn't go away.
It's 10 years old, and I can still see the logo on the top of the thing now. That being said, and I'm going to pick on Noble Otter here for a minute, is you buy a soap, you love it, you put it on the shelf, and, in certain soap makers, like in my case, Chris, you have your own shelf. Noble Otter has his own shelf. And I look at that and I open it up, and, and it's crazy when you think about it, because traditional wet shaving, when I say I have a soap locker, and I counted, and I've got over 600 soaps. I could stop tomorrow, and I know Josh is laughing at that. I could stop tomorrow, and I could give it to the next 5 generations. And if we ever go to a planet like Avatar, I could teach the Na'vi how to shave. I will always have it, but yet something will hit, and I'm a marketer's dream. Tig Lily, who's on here, will tell you I'm a marketer's dream. If somebody markets something to me and it flips my noodle, so to speak, as that, because I love otters, which just drives me crazy, then I will buy that sight unseen. I am a blind buyer. I really am. And 90% of the time I like it. And then also, from the barbershop side of it, I wanted to create my own soap. And, Chris has been kind enough. We have the Tombstone collection that we're still working on, and that works out as well. But let's move to the next phase. And this is the part that I don't want to pick on one specific soap maker, because the one thing I will say for Chris, you, Noble Otter, Adopted Acre Soaps, is you're very subtle in the marketplace. If people, and everything that you get is from word of mouth. A lot of it is from word of mouth, the forums, and the quality. And I think you get to a certain level in traditional shaving where quality starts eclipsing everything. But everybody in this room, and probably everybody in the audience, will say that the one staple that everybody kind of turns their head and nods at is Sterling. I don't think anybody can, deny that. Sterling is always the consistency. And that, to me, that is the barometer of the community.
They're a benchmark. I'll say I make bar soap more because I want to make myself soap, and then it's easy to sell. But price wise, Sterling is way cheaper on a per ounce, or at least not. I cannot compete with Sterling, I should say. Bar soap. We're talking bar soap.
Right,
And
right.
for me, bar soap turns out to be a loss because it adds weight to the
Oh.
package,
Right.
and I'm taking a loss sending you soap.
Mm.
But people want it, and they'll buy a whole package of
Right.
10 soaps. And now I'm
Oh,
now I'm at a
I
loss.
know somebody who's here in this little round table now that pretty much buys out Christmas soaps every single year
Yeah.
because that's his primary soap. But I've got to say this for you, Chris, Adopted Acres and Noble Otter. This is the person you need to send emails to. This is from Dan. I scoop with a gardening shovel. I get about 2 shades
Love it.
per tub. This
Love
is
it.
your customer. This is your customer. And then, of course, I kill 5 or 6 tubs a year. Now, if you have 10 tubs, I can see that. But I mean, I pick through my stuff because we won't go into that. But,
And you're
and I
afraid
go,
to
oh,
use it.
wow.
You're afraid to run out of it.
Well,
Penhaligons,
and that
English
brings
fern
up
and stuff like
that brings up the next subject. How many of us have soaps that we pull it out? And here's a perfect example: Penhaligons English Fern hasn't been made forever, right? Both the vegan and in the tallow. And you open up and you go, oh, I better not use this. I better not use this because if I run out, and Dave knows I am the English fern fanatic. So any of you, and I'm going to drop a little hint. Any of you soap makers that would like to make an actual clone of English fern, please let me know. No, and so I'm afraid to use it. And so what does it do? It sits. And then there's other soaps that I look down, I go, wow, I need to buy more, And so what I want to get into. Okay, so like Noble Otter says, that's Reef Point's Aviator for me. So, there's those soaps that you just have to absolutely have. And then, and I personally think, and I hate to keep plugging Noble Otter, but I think Noble Otter crawls inside my head because when being an aviation fanatic, and he came out with his aviation theme soap, it's like, okay, how many do I need to buy? Because I'm a sucker for the artwork. But and you guys mentioned PAA. The one thing I will say for PAA is he is a marketing genius, bar none. Regardless of my personal feelings on him, and like what Josh said, doesn't matter. So we've got our first question real quick. This comes from Trunker Dixon. To what extent does difficulty in sourcing ingredients affect the soap makers? Because several of my favorites are no longer made. Fine sandalwood is one, but not alone in that regard. So, Chris, if you want to address this, and then also Doug and Noble Otter, if you want to address this in the chat, please do to let Trunker.
I have a point. I have a point on this after Chris is done.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, sourcing is it depends, I guess, is the answer. Some things like sandalwood is obviously Mysore is it's not that you can't get it, it costs way too much to even be able to consider. Another one is the rose that I did, gosh, name escapes me now, but rose of bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
That oil is, well, it's accessible, but in order to get the actual oil, you got to buy internationally, which comes with its own challenges right now, but it's expensive. And I'll put out $100 for a 5cc bottle of it, and that's enough to make a tub or two if I'm stretching it.
Wow!
But I like that smell, so I'll make myself one, and whatever's left, I'll sell to somebody. And I was gonna, so that works. But there are some things that are just too expensive to do. There's different butters that are very expensive, and it's not that they're hard to source. They're hard to source at a price that you can put out and recoup, sell the item at. And that's where I think I'm at an advantage personally, because I'm not there to make money on it. If I'm going to use the scent for myself and I can make a few tubs and sell it, that works for me.
Well, here's a good point from Doug, one of our other makers from Adopted Acres. So I'm too new. I'm still trying to figure out the best place to source stuff, and this brings up your point. I've looked at Missouri sandalwood. That's as far as I got.
Yeah,
and that's
because the bank account
the cost.
will
Yeah.
And Doug, I'm not opposed. People know this that when you're buying soaps, it took a long. I put a lot of effort into making my formulas, and I do change things. My aftershave, it's very purposeful and all that stuff. But I've had people who say, "I want to start making soap. Can you help me?" And here's a recipe. They have my recipe. They can do it. Dave, you know that I gave you.
Well, that I was going to say, that's the one thing I was going to bring up later, is that Chris has no secrets. I mean, seriously, no secrets.
Yeah.
Because when I was working while I was in barber school with Chambers, you remember, we started making our own soaps, and you gave us everything we needed, and that is unheard of. But
It's soap. I
like
mean,
you
how
said,
different can it be?
exactly.
Yes, and I say that not mean. I don't mean to. There is a lot of thought and effort that goes into it.
Sure.
And there's a lot that, good and bad. But the reality is that I don't think that should be the obstacle for long. It should be what sets me apart for a while. But so I don't know. But Josh
Yeah,
is
Josh,
really cool.
what you were going to say? Go ahead.
One thing I'll say about Josh, though, that you didn't say, Josh isn't just some random guy who was into wet shaving many years
Right.
ago and came back. He has a ton of soap experience.
Right.
And he reviewed and everything. So his perspective is not just I am a shaver. He's been able to put it into words that people have used to buy soap.
Right.
So,
I appreciate that, Chris. No, I was going to say this kind of plays into the previous 2 points. This one about sourcing and also about unobtainium that we're afraid to use because we want to keep hold of it. My favorite scent of all time is Barrister and Man's Adagio, bar none, hands down, my absolute favorite scent. But he can't make that soap on a year-round basis. As a matter of fact, from what I could gather, the last time he made it, I bought it in 2016, and the next time he made it was 2022. And the reason being is the cherry essential oil that he uses is over the top too expensive. It is just so ungodly expensive that from what I could gather, he takes a loss on the tubs.
Right. Well, I have to put this up real quick, Josh, because if not, I'll get killed. Because this is my wife's favorite scent on the planet. And
I have more of that oil ready to go. I just haven't made for her. It's super easy oil to get a hold of, by the way. It's not a challenge.
Go ahead, Josh, and finish your thoughts on that.
Yeah, and I'm kind of glad that my tub of Adagio is buried in the garage because I know it's out there waiting. I can't get to it. I can't use it. I was kind of a little upset when I found out he did release Adagio a few years ago. I'm looking forward to seeing him release it again in his new soap base. So I can buy another 2 tubs and another 2 bottles of the aftershave or 3 bottles of the aftershave. But he was having those pricing issues back in 2017. And things have just gotten exponentially more expensive.
Yeah, and that's just it. And when you really think about it, if you look at the price of soaps and aftershaves, and you guys know this from being on the forums, people will complain about a nickel as consumers. But if you really look at the cost of a shaving soap, so let's say I'm going to just shoot a number. Let's say the 4-ounce tub is $29. I'm just going to use that as an example. When you look at the return, the ROI or the return of investment on what you're spending on that, if you can have that soap for a year or 2 years, think about what the cost per shave is. It's nothing. It's next to nothing. So that's why on my channel, I always say, I don't care what it costs. If I like it, that's what's important. And I want to move on a little bit real quick before we get into some questions that I want everybody to ask.
I mean, real quick, that's what's so impressive about this is one of the bigger European makers, Martin de Condre. I mean, yeah, you're spending $65, $75 for a tub. I think 85 is the rose.
Right.
It's the essential oil.
You have it forever.
But yeah, it's a 500 shave tub. I mean, you could use that every day, loading heavy for almost 2 years.
Well,
until you're
basically, you take the jar and you hover the brush across it, and boom, it lathers. I mean,
Yeah.
it's amazing how
you
that
you
works.
it took you a while to get on the MDC.
Well, and the reason why is because when I saw the fougere, of course, being English fern, a bougie English fern, I was like, they're not gonna be. I'm gonna be upset. I'm gonna hate it. I'm not gonna like it. Well, obviously, I turned out to love it, and it's also because, when I sit at the computer and I go into a soap maker, and because I'm also buying soap and aftershave and everything for my shaving for my barber shop.
Mm-hmm.
Now, fortunately, Chris and I have been able to do that, but I'm still buying stuff for daily use in the barber shop when I'm doing shaves and haircuts and stuff like that. And that I've got to be very cost effective for. But when I go on myself and I look, I'll be typing and I'll think, you've got a 7-foot cabinet that's full to the brim with soaps, and then you've got another thing over here that's full of aftershaves. Do you need to buy this? And of course, yeah, exactly. Do I need to buy this? And unfortunately, and I'm going to pick on Noble Otter here, the description of his scents is what nails me every single time, because how many soap makers in their ingredients have puddles? Rain root has puddles. So I want to know what puddles smells like. Now, there is no fragrance for puddles, but yet you guys that make these soaps can craft them to where, damn it, I smelled a puddle, and I love it. Rain root, hammam, these are all interesting scents. And the Wanderer, just amazing stuff. And you guys all can do that. And for somebody who can't draw stick figures, I mean, I can close my eyes and shave somebody with a straight razor like it's no big deal, but I can't create the stuff that you guys create. So that leads me to the next one. And Daniel says, shaving cream in a can costs more than the tubs. That's true. And believe it or not, Dan, that's got formaldehyde in it. But the thing I do want to talk about is, let's talk about those soap makers that are still around, that are still here. And we are so happy to be upset. And you guys all know who I'm about to mention. But yet they're still doing it, and they're still doing it well. And I know a lot of people don't like the Holy Black, not because it's not good, not because it's not good, not because it's because of their marketing strategy. But if as a business owner, if you think and you look back, it's genius. It really is. You come out and you say, hey, in 2 weeks, we're going to have this many tubs of whatever, get on the website. And you get on the website, and within seconds, it's gone. And then it's appearing on the secondary market at a much higher price. Now so basically Holy Black is the type of company that people hate to love and love to hate, because then a couple of weeks later, you have the secret stashes that come out. Same stuff, but it's in a plain Jane. And those of us that like soaps and like the artwork, we're upset because we didn't get the actual coffret that has that. So I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on those type of makers that, kind of tease you and say, here's a carrot. Oh, I'm going to take it back. So go ahead, discuss.
I'll go right on this one. Oh, go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, fortunately for me, as a consumer, I feel that pull, but I never jump on never do on the limited stuff. I'm not going to hop on at midnight on whatever it is and get your thing. It's not, and what that does is it keeps me from ever experiencing it, which means I never want it.
Right.
But that's just me, and there's nothing wrong with it, because it's also brilliant in that, again, like I said, if it's sitting on the shelf, it's money you spent that you didn't get back. And if you can turn it over very quick, you can invest a pretty good chunk of money in it and do it, I'll say do it different, do it whatever. I mean, they dress it up with stuff that has nothing to do with the soap, the whole packaging and stuff like that. Well, if that's going to sit on the shelf, that's deadly. But if you're going to turn that over, in one night, that's fantastic.
And I think that's what they do, because if you look at the amount of money and time that they spend on packaging these, like I remember, what was the one, the heart, where the glass bottle was
$100
Telltale Heart.
Telltale Heart, and you look at that, and it is genius. And I think Noble Otter says it's great. We don't like, most people don't like the FOMO type of marketing. They don't like it, but it allows them to do things. And Chris, you
Yeah.
just put it in there. It allows them to do things that they can make a boatload of money very fast, very quick, and then reinvest that. I mean, how many people, I was this way with the lavender creeper. I mean, barrel aged lavender. Oh, just crawl into my wallet and take whatever the hell you want, you know, and it worked on me. And I think that's it. Josh, go ahead. You had your comments on Holy
I
Black.
mean, it got pointed out in the chat. It's a FOMO thing,
Mhm.
fear of missing out. Holy Black has figured out a way to delve into a niche community, all right, a very niche community, and through their early offerings of lavender creeper, tangerine creeper,
Mhm.
Tangerine.
they were very high quality EOs that were used. The scents and the novelty of, at the time, a cooling product that did not have the menthol smell.
Mhm.
That was one of the first, if not the first, soap that used the new cooling agents.
Right.
And they saw how popular it was and saw that they could do exactly what you guys are describing. They could make a decent amount of investment. I mean, it's not cheap to source all the ceramic dishes for the soaps and, you know, the vials for the aftershaves.
Mhm.
But yeah, they're dropping maybe 150, 200% more than would a normal soap maker would, or more.
Mhm.
But they're able to price it higher. They're able to sell out instantly,
Mhm.
and then they're gone. And then they start marketing 6 months to a year later for another release,
Right.
and it builds the FOMO all over again.
Well, and I think you bring up a good point, Josh. Is that you've got two types of marketing strategies, maybe even more. But you've got the FOMO marketing strategy, and for those people that are deep into, and my wife Tiglily is going to laugh at me by the word saying deep, because we watch the Dark Journalist, and that's all he talks about. But anyways, it grabs those people that are marketers' dreams. You know, like if I see, like when the tangerine creeper or when the lavender creeper, and to this day, I missed out on the grapefruit creeper. And I still, to this day, would love to have some. But at the same time, I've also figured that, okay, but every once in a while they'll come up with one that has that packaging. Like for instance, I guess the most recent one had I don't know if it was a gold coin or some type of, oh no, it was the brush that was just, you know, like a Viking type brush. It was awesome. I went on. It was sold out by the time I even got on there. So I was able to say, oh well, that's okay. But
do you think that that's just a passion project is what I'm thinking? Because from a business point of view, yes, it drives immediate sales, but then it never comes again. Like, so you'd think that if it was just business, that every 2 or 3 years, Tangerine Creeper would come back or something, and because they could sell out again immediately, but they don't.
Well, I think for me, I think it's the mystique of it because, you know, if somebody's able to say, you know, like if let's say you do a YouTube video and you're doing a YouTube video with Tangerine Creeper, don't tell me that the Holy Black and stuff are watching this and saying, okay, and then you get comments that say, oh God, I wish I would have bought that. So you've created a collectible is what you've done. You've created an actual collectible that's a perishable product. Who would have ever thought of that? You know, and it works for them. I don't think another person could, because they started that way. Plus, not to mention, the Holy Black is also they have barbershops, so it's not
that's
their
what I'm
only
thinking.
source.
It's the other
It's not
side.
their only source of income.
And one thing they've done, Dave, is well, one, I use the cooling agent. I have 2 different cooling agents. Other people use the cooling agents now. Why? Because they created the hype around it. Okay, so but you want a tangerine creeper like thing or a grapefruit creeper like thing? I can make it. Noble Otter can make it. Adopted Acres can make it. It may not, it's not going to be the same. It's going to be our product, but it's going to be that kind of thing. And in a way, they create the hype that leaves a hole for other artisans to
Well,
fill if they want.
and that's just it, because like I said, love to hate, hate to love. And the people that hate to love will say, well, I can't get it, so I'm going to go over here, and like, I do have to pick on Noble Otter a little bit on this one is, he's teasing us. I have ideas for next year that you can consider FOMO, but it's something I want to do. Now,
Do it.
yeah, do it. Now, what for me, when I got the announcement from him that 'Tis the Season was going away, I literally almost cried. And so now, like Josh said earlier, I usually shave with it for 12 days coming up to Christmas. And I looked at the tub this morning because that's what I shaved with, and I went, oh man, this ain't going to be around anymore. But I know that he's making a newer Christmas scent, so I'm excited about it. So
I think all of us here that are visually, and I don't know who's in the audience gallery, but I know that I'll say within the last year, maybe longer, but life hits you in a different way, and all of a sudden, those soaps and things that you've been not using because you don't want them to be gone, just use them, man. Use them. There's gonna be something. It's either I'm gonna be gone or they're gonna be gone, and it's okay. I'll live without whatever it is.
Well, and in my case, I'm a little thing, because our next project, which will be Wyatt Earp, I'll have, I've got soap for the barbershop that'll come up. So let's, we've covered a lot of stuff real quick. Let's see if there's any questions from the audience. So guys, just put that up and I'll read them as we kind of move a little bit forward. Final thoughts on the soap making type stuff, guys. Go ahead and what are your thoughts on it?
My panic crema is never coming back.
Go ahead, Rich.
My panic crema is never coming back.
Oh, that's what I was actually going to mention. What I'm sad about is companies that go out of business and don't sell to somebody else.
Yeah.
Like, so Panic Crema is one, Storybook Soapworks, all this that have great followings, sell out a lot, and then it's just gone. And again, I know that's they've changed their life focus or whatever it is, but I think that's just, there's plenty of stuff out there, but I wish that somebody would take those reins too. Say, instead of just shuttering, they'd say, who wants to take this over? Because you would think somebody, if they're profitable and they've already penetrated the market, that seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point.
There is a soap maker that did absorb some 5 or 6 years ago. I don't want to say the names because I don't know what they're doing right now. But when retailers, like for instance, Sterling, they're not. This is a hypothetical. I'm not saying
right.
But Sterling is in a position to acquire, if nothing else, the scent formula. And someone could say, "I'll sell you my formulation." What's it worth? I have no idea. That's the other thing, is how do I know what to sell? Everything, it's all open market. We all buy from the same place. It's just a matter, it's not a secret, but some stuff is. But it'd be kind of cool for Strop Shop, your Russian tea. I have that, Dave. You bought it from me. I have the closest thing I can come to it, but it's not the same. It just I don't know. Both work. Yeah. It's just, but I have Strop Shop too, and I don't use it because I don't want it to be gone.
Well, it's funny when you're talking about fragrances and scent, and I want to do some questions here. We've got some questions. But here's a perfect example. When you get a certain scent that you absolutely fall in love with, it's hard not to get it, because, for instance, like my favorite barbershop scent, and now obviously I'm biased because I spend 60 hours a week in my barbershop, and to get the smell, Adopted Acres nailed it. And that's to my olfactory senses. Now, there's a ton of barbershop soaps out there, and a lot of people like that heavy powder. Some people don't like that heavy powder. So I think fragrances have a lot on it. Let me take a couple of questions real quick, and then we'll do that. So I'm going to start out with Chris. And what is, and whoever wants to answer this, Chris, if you want, what is the biggest barrier to starting a brand of shave soap? And of course, Doug and Noble Otter, please feel free to chime in on that as well.
I'd say a market to sell your first tub to. That I think, and I don't want to say, in a way, I guess the shaving cadre was a tool in that respect, because I was able to come out there. Of course, I paid. I pay a lot. A lot of CBL soap money goes into the shaving cadre, just so you know.
Well,
but
I already know that.
But nothing stops a new guy from coming in as a full-on vendor. Starting websites is not easy, but it's not difficult. You want a formula to do, you can Google it. You can have Grok give you a basic formula. and you're making soap, you're on your way. So other than sourcing all the little materials, having a place to sell your first tub.
Mhm.
I don't like Etsy, but if you don't, they're a marketplace. You need a marketplace.
Right. Well, and the thing is, I think with Etsy is Etsy is one of those things, because I know Doug uses Etsy quite extensively. If you're already an Etsy customer for other things,
Mhm.
you're more apt to find stuff on Etsy.
Right.
They don't market. They do, but they don't. As far as big name like Amazon, they're not an Amazon. But I think once you find it, but Noble Otter also responded. Growth. It's easy when you're small and easier
True.
when you get big, but it's hard to be in between. There's a good point, because that could be some of the reasons too, is people are in that purgatory area and stuff like that. So let's move on to our next question real quick, because I want to keep everybody here for 100 years. And I think I'll address this one. What percentage of customers are customers are traditional wet savers versus someone coming from the disposable and cream world? Chris?
All of them are traditional. None of them come to me straight out of a cream. Well, take that back. One who just recently joined the forum, came to me asking about Williams mug soap, because someone had told him to use that, and he wanted to get some of my stuff. And my understanding is, until fairly recently, he was a shaving cream guy. So it's very possible I gave him the first Artisan shave soap of his
Right.
Journey.
So here's another answer from Doug. Marketing for sure. I had a big following via Instagram. I was a collector at heart and tried to make the transition. He is planning to go away from Etsy in 2026. And I should say that Doug is going to be, he will be becoming a artisan retailer on the shaving cadre. And if I can kiss enough butt, maybe I'll get Noble Otter to join us as well.
Dave, can I say from a customer point of view too, though, it's, you talk about blind buys, and unless you're getting samples or something to try from somebody, kind of having, lots of people make soap and you don't know if it's good or bad quality until it kind of feels professional. And so I'd say from that side of things, just social media marketing and all that.
One of the things that I did, again, it was a benefit of, if you're in there trying to make soap and you think you want to be a soap brand, that means you're already dabbling. You're making soap for somebody somewhere already. Start sending it to people.
Yeah.
Now, Josh was one of those guys that back in the day was, if you whether he gave it to him or he bought it, he was doing reviews and stuff that were being seen. Find someone like that, give him your soap.
Well, that old adage, Chris, that we get, because both of us, you're still in the financial services industry. I used to be that 300 list. Get 300 people that you're best friends and everything else, and market to them first, because they're going to be the hardest sell, number one. But if they do, they'll tell 300 more people, and so forth and so on.
Well, if you get people, join a forum, share around, follow the rules obviously on how you're going to do it, but get your stuff into people's hands and get feedback and stuff like that, and then start selling it. A website. And the reason I say I don't like Etsy is because I don't understand it. I create a website. Now you're in your own. Etsy is a marketing place as well as a marketing tool. So I don't know if that is a good place to go or not. Noble Otter could tell you, the better that. But yeah, that's kind of, you're right though. I don't do samples. It's just cost effective wise. It's just a pain in the butt. Buy the soap. If you don't like it, I'll give you your money back.
Right. Well, and we wanted to say goodbye real quick to Doug from Adopted Acres. He has to take off. Doug, we'll be discussing other things with you, and I'd love to have you on the show, and we'll do that in the past. There was one other question for you, Chris. Let me find it here real quick. Oh, tallow versus non-tallow. What makes soaps so much slicker than others?
How it's made. There is tallow can be very, very, very slick if you use the lye in a particular order. It can be slicker versus not slicker. I mean, they're all going to be slick, but and then the formula. Some formulations are slicker than others, but how you make it does change the character. And I think, Dave, because we walked you through cooking and all that stuff. I told you do this first, do that, and that may be total BS from my perspective, but it's my experience.
Right.
And it's books I've read and stuff like that. But I think slickness wise, you can get both tallow and non-tallow can be slick.
Well,
There's different butters. Different butters make really good soap.
Saponificio Veracino is a good example.
Yeah,
Panna
total
Crema
vegan.
Nuova Verde, another perfect
Yeah.
example. Tallow, and you know, to address what Dave said earlier about, you know, kind of blind buying. I bought a soap called La Puer Francais by Henriette and Victoria, and because of the name of it. Because the description was it was going to smell like a peach tart, warm on your face, and everything else. Little did I realize that I am not a friend of cinnamon, and so that tub sits in my, and I want to use it so bad, but every time I use it, I might as well just go sit out in the Arizona sun for 3 days because it just tears me up. Rose is the same way for me. So, you know, and that's another thing. I've got soaps that I'll never use. They're sitting there. And I say, okay, I'll just put them in a piff box and get rid of them. And then I look at them and go, well, you know, maybe my allergy will go away, which is crap.
Yeah.
But
get rid of them, Dave. Move on.
Exactly.
I take soaps and I'll melt them down and make bath soap out of them.
Mm-hmm.
I can't throw it
Well,
away.
then instead of being on fire on his face, he'll be on fire on his whole body.
Woohoo! Well,
it's good wintertime soap.
I was going to say, depending on where, that might be kind of fun. No, I'm kidding.
It's good wintertime.
So before we move into that, I think we've done a real good job with the soaps and stuff like that, and I'm so honored that Noble Otter and Doug and Chris, you guys were here because that's what really rounded this out for me, especially for our very first show. And you know, because it was Nurse Dave and I talked extensively about it because we have our own show, but this one's a totally different format. And having a round table that can discuss different things, I think, is very important. So before we move on to the barbering thing, any final thoughts on the whole soap thing from you guys? Go ahead, Josh.
Not off the top of my head. I did have one thing I wanted to say to Noble Otter in that King. I got King. It was one of my newer acquisitions since coming back into the fold. I don't know if you're shooting for it, but I got a really heavy Creta Ventus feel. But if they were coming out of the woods covered in mud, I
read your review on that.
Awesome. Cool. It was really cool. I don't know if that's what you were shooting for, but if it was, you nailed it. That was really, really cool. And soap is as good as ever. I went back and shaved with it a second time, and it was user error the first time. I just didn't load enough. So,
Josh, let me ask you a question based on what you just said. And I'm not picking on any soap maker individually, but I think the thing that draws me to Noble Otter. Now, I love Panna Crema Nuova Verde was the top of my soap list forever. But the one thing I noticed about Noble Otter is, do you feel, and I want to make sure that I'm not completely batshit crazy, do you feel, well, I think you guys probably think I'm batshit crazy, but that's beside the point. Do you feel that when you shave, when I shave with his stuff, the description and the journey that you're taking, because the otter being the wanderer, I feel like I'm taking a journey. Fragrance note by fragrance note by fragrance notes. I feel like I've taken a trip. That to me is unique on any of the soaps that I've ever used. And I don't know if that's just me or if you feel that way as well.
So with Noble Otter, like I said, it's been years since the King was the first soap of his that I've used in 5+ years. So I can't really speak off of memory. I remember his soap base being an outstanding performer. I will say that with King, I bought it blind. There really weren't any reviews online for it that I could find. And from a scent perspective, I was not anticipating what I got. Because the scent notes did not line up with what I got out of it. What I got out of it was a hillbilly creed. Is what I got out of it, because the top notes are totally different. It doesn't have any pineapple in it.
Right.
It doesn't have that pineapple top note that is so Creed centric, so Aventus centric. But it takes you through that same journey. Because I
Right.
know
Right.
Aventus takes you through that same journey. It
Mhm,
took
mhm.
me through that exact same journey, but everything was just a little grimier.
Well,
It, it, and
and the thing,
and that it so yes, it does take me his that because it's so recent and so fresh, and that was the
Mhm.
last soap I shaved with.
Right.
It's so fresh in memory that I can speak from that experience that yeah, I was definitely taken on a scent journey with that.
Well, and the thing, and I think for me, and this is just me personally, as a because a lot of guys, they buy shaving soap, they go, okay, that smells good. They shave with it. They go, yeah, I smell good. They look at their wife. The wife goes, yeah, you smell good. For me, it's about the experience. Now, granted,
Hmm.
it's because I'm a barber. I've been doing it a long time. We have a forum, so we see these things. But the one thing that stands out in Chris's soaps and Noble Otters is the journey of, like, 'tis the season. I feel like it's Christmas. For to plug the ombre soaps, from the original Hombres Barbershop
Mhm.
to the Spaghetti Western to the Doc Holiday, to upcoming versions. It feels like you're walking down Tombstone. It feels like you're in the barbershop with Doc Holiday. You get that peach. And to me, to me is the masterfulness of these guys that are artisans. That's what it is. You're not a soap maker, you're an artisan. You're an artist because you're creating a journey for people. And I think that in some obscure way is the reason why you guys are still here, still doing things. Is you realize that shaving, especially if you're taking the time to traditionally shave, is about the journey. It's about the imagination. It's about what you're creating. And by creating that journey, you're saying, okay, what is Chris's next journey? What is Noble Otter's next journey? What is Doug's next journey? And for
Well,
me, that's what makes the difference.
I think on top of that, I mean, you have your soap makers fine accoutrements.
Uh-huh.
You know, we all appreciate the quality of soap that they
Sure.
have, and we all enjoy, Santal Absolute before I apparently got discontinued.
Sure.
Something else I
Sure.
missed. Um, uh, you know, PDP is another one.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really take you on a journey.
Right.
It's a fairly singular scent note.
Mm-hmm.
Martin de Condre is the same way.
Yeah.
It's a
Same thing.
very singular scent note. Original Martin de
Agreed.
Condre is pretty much a straight up lavender
Mm-hmm.
soap. Sterling, Noble Otter, Declaration did this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they have modeled their and Chris, your soaps did this too. California Sunrise, you
Mm-hmm. Oh
modeled
God,
after
yeah.
after the cologne I sent out to the Amouage cologne. Um, they are modeled and they're so deftly put together. The scent notes are to model themselves after an actual fragrance and how a fragrance evolves.
Mhm.
And that takes a ton of skill.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
That,
So
that's
let's
and that's I just wanted to say that's what puts a soap maker like Fine's got an absolutely killer soap base.
sure.
I would say it and Noble Otter are neck and neck. Maybe Noble Otter's a little bit better in some senses, just because of some of the skincare stuff that he puts in his soaps.
Mm-hmm.
But if you give me Santal Absolute and you give me a Noble Otter scent, I'm going to take the Noble Otter scent every time because it's
Right.
just a more enjoyable experience.
Well, in that, when you were saying that, it made me think that you have the difference between a journey, for lack of a better term, a journey shaver versus a utilitarian shaver. Because
Mhm.
I'll shave with Williams mug soap, or Colgate, or even the Palmolive shave stick. Very linear, very basic, but it does the job.
Hmm.
So it just
Yeah.
depends on what you're
I
looking
think
at
you
on a
guys
specific
hit.
day.
I think you guys hit in a very good way what uh, keeps people coming back. The multiple buyer. Williams Smug Soap is a good example of the store bought box. No, why? Um, the vintage stuff. Vintage. KJ sent me a puck of vintage tonsorial.
Hmm.
I love it. That's the whole reason CBL soap started because I got to make that.
Right.
It was scentless, except it had history. It had
Mm-hmm.
it smelled like old soap in a way that you cannot recreate. Yardley soap bowls, old soap.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there's a journey there that has no scent notes that I could ever
Right.
begin
Right.
to do.
Well, Mitchell's wool fat. There's really no. I mean, it's like
Yeah,
shaving with a box of Tide. I mean, but
yeah.
it's
But
Mitchell's wool fat.
it's got a smell that I joked at one point that there's probably like fungal spores or something in there that are making me high while I'm shaving, because it's that much enjoyment out of this old soap.
Wow.
Uh, and it's just, but if I had only one soap to do ever, it would be that old soap, Williams Tonsorial, not the mug soap, the Tonsorial
Right.
pucks. They're like
Right.
huge pucks.
Right. Right.
Is just killer in every possible way. And I've
Right.
bought every bit of it that I could ever find.
Right.
Or the
Dave.
old Shelton's Old Spice.
Oh
Yeah.
God. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's another one.
Exactly. So, Dave, Rich, any final thoughts on the soap thing before we move on?
I was going to say how much Josh coming back to the game. I haven't had a chance to say how much I missed seeing your videos because I learned so much. You're such a technician and you have a nose. My nose has been burnt out from being in gas houses on various camps all over the world. So I don't smell the things the way you still can. And so I try to experience these things through your nose.
How about you,
Well,
Dave?
I can't say I'll be doing videos, but I'll definitely try and paint those pictures through words on the forum.
Yes, I would encourage you to do them again because you did such a great job back in the day.
It's a matter of time and space at this point.
Okay, here we go from Eric Morgooder. Traditional weight shave with an accompanying buzz. New marketing strategy, Chris. There you go. Noble Otter. There you go. In fact, you know what's funny is actually, and we didn't mention him today, but Ariane and Evans, they came out with a soap called Pink, or actually Who's Pink, and it's a it's a Pink Floyd-esque type thing, but it gives you that feeling that you're sitting in a head shop.
Cool.
Back for those of us that are old enough that remember that type of stuff, and so yeah, it's there. Dave, final thoughts on the soap thing?
I think it dovetails into exactly what you guys were saying. Is if people want to stick around or start a new soap company, you got to be original. Like you just said, that the utilitarian soaps are out there, the low scent soaps are out there that people can get. So you got to do something original. And to me, the stuff I always love smacks you in the face. And I think that's risky, right? Because people either love it or hate it, but that's what makes you stand out, is if you are doing something new and different that isn't already out there.
Right. Yeah. Eric just corrected me. Which one's Pink? Yeah, it's perfect. Okay. So real quick, we're going to move on to the state of barbering. Obviously, those people here know that I'm a master barber, and barbering has changed. Barber school can be anywhere from 16 weeks to 3 years, depending on where you go. And my whole goal was to create a traditional barbershop like your mom, your grandfather, your mom, I guess, if she was that type. I don't know why I said that. But your grandfather, your dad, you went in. So when they walk in, they smell the barbicide. They smell the talc, the Clubman talc. They smell the aftershaves. They smell the hair tonics. Because that's what happens when you walk in, and there's no bigger compliment to have somebody walk into a barbershop and say, "Oh, this brings back memories," or I love the way this smells. Because in today's utilitarian world, you can go and spend $9 at a Supercuts and be off and going. In Dave's case, we've talked about this. Dave hates going to the barber. He doesn't want to talk to anybody. He just wants to get his hair cut and get out the door. Now, my job is to change that, and I'm waiting for him to come to Tucson because I'll convert him easily. But the barbering has changed because there's a blurred line between barbering, cosmetology, and all that other stuff. And some guys, they want to go in, get their hair cut, be done in 15 minutes, and get the hell out because they don't care about I don't want to say they don't care about their personal grooming, but they're not really that worried about it because that's why I qualified that, Dave. So I think the barbering is still going to be around. You're not going to have, because you're always going to have the guys that want to go to a traditional barbershop. As a barber, and I'll let you guys comment on it, as a barber, where I get upset, and this is going to upset a lot of my colleagues, is I think the cost of barbering, because of the new type of mentality coming out of the new barbers, because the mentality is hustle, 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 you know, and for a gentleman's cut, you know, you should get 55, 60, 75, $100. No, you know, to be a traditional barber, you make it affordable, no matter what their status is in life. You make it affordable, and then you price accordingly. And I had a guy yesterday from New Jersey, brand new client, never came in before, and I told him what the price was, and he looked at me like I had some type of disease. He goes, "How much?" He goes, "How can you afford that?" You know, because he's thinking, you know, all the product I buy and everything else, but I know what my margins are. And I'm also in barbering, not as a career. This is fun. You know, I've had my career in the Air Force. I've had my other thing, but kind of like, you know, and so to me, you gotta make something that's affordable. And, you know, some people care, some people don't. But to me, if I could do shaves, straight razor shaves, every day, all day, without any haircuts, I do that every day of the week, because it's just that to me.
That's
To be
cool.
able to, well, somebody that has the trust to have you lay them back, cover them in towels, put scalding hot towels on them, cold towels, and then shave their face with a straight razor. That's, oh, we lost Chris. Hopefully he'll come back in. That to me is trust. And then if they fall asleep, that's even better, because that means they're relaxed enough to do that. So I just wanted to get a quick shot on what you guys thought about barbering. I kind of know what Dave's is, but go ahead.
No, well, you
Josh?
know what though, you did change my mind somewhat, because I now go to what you would consider a traditional, and I made that sacrifice because it does look better, right? I
Right.
switch from super cuts to a traditional
You're
haircut.
you're
and
gorgeous. You're gorgeous.
I know. Thank you. But it still is the faster the better for me. But it's worth having, you know, the added expenditure for more experienced or better trained person.
Sure. Josh?
I mean, I really don't have a leg to stand on here. I've been a sports clips guy for
Right.
God, 15 years now, to the point where they know exactly what I want when I walk in, because it's in the database.
Right.
So it really doesn't matter, for all intents and purposes, it doesn't matter who I go to. They already know that I want skin on the side, mid fade, 2 inches on top.
Right.
Um,
But you know,
now,
it would be a very interesting experiment for you, to go to a traditional barber and give him the same parameters and
well, I'm
see
also
if
coming
he knows
from
the
a
difference.
place. I'm also coming from a place of a fairly unique experience. My aunt was a hairdresser.
Oh, okay. There
That,
you go.
and that's where I got my haircut for years.
Mhm.
Even when I go home to Connecticut now to visit family, I get a free haircut
That's cool.
every time.
That's cool.
So you know, I have a very deep appreciation for people that are in hairdressing and barbering.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the tonsorial crafts. But it's hard when I go to any of the local barbers around here and they're wanting to charge the $65, $75, $80.
There's my point. Exactly.
And I don't know what I'm going to walk out looking like, because they're going to want to do their own thing and put their own spin on it. And I'm also getting thrown in the chair and then kicked out, you know, fairly quickly. And
Well,
whereas
you know, I want
go
to address that real quick, because like my average haircut, and it doesn't matter whether it's a skin fade, a gentleman's haircut, a flat top, a buzz cut, doesn't matter. Well, not a buzz cut because they're fairly quick, but I allocate between 35 and 40 minutes, period. Now, it may take me less, it may take me longer, but I want the person to have an experience. And that's the part that I hate, is that number one, some of the barbers now, you're in the chair for 15 minutes and they're charging you $70. You know, it's like, thank you very much. See you later. Or when you go back to the same person over and over, and they sit you down in the chair and go, what is it that you want? No, they should know that. You know, and that's my feeling, and that's coming from a barber standpoint. Real quick before I get to you, Rich, here's a perfect example, or something that Noble Otter says. What could us soap makers do for barbers that could support them? offering larger sizes and options for soaps and creams. No, I don't think from a barber standpoint, I don't think so, because in my shop, I have a couple of different shaves that I have. I have a standard shave, which I use a straight razor, of course, but I have a machine, a hot lather machine. So it brings the lather up to 170 degrees, but it is a liquid soap. It's been around forever. It's made by King's. It's a good soap for that purpose. Now, that's also what I use to do down the back of your neck and over your ears. The second set is more of a real shave, and I use CBL. I use Noble Otter. So I don't think you need to make anything different.
I
As
got it,
far as
Dave.
supporting,
Scented talcs that match their soaps.
Actually, Florist does that now. And you know, the only thing that we as barbers, because I like to, like in Chris's case with the ombre shop, we make a specific amount and he sells some on his site, I sell some in the shop. Now I will say that Doc Holliday was the fastest sellout that I've ever had. I mean, it was weeks. And so, no, I don't think there's anything more that the soap makers can do to support, other than, coming out with a barber style soap every once in a while, which I think is cool. Other than that, not much. And here's good news.
Yeah.
We are bringing powders back next year.
all
That's
over it.
huge.
I'm all over it.
That's huge. Because the thing is, and I'm not to brag, but I think in a large way, some of the videos that I've put on my channel have drawn people to using talc, because talc is something you use every day in the barbershop, and it does make you feel better. Now, if you live in a warmer climate, it's great, and it finishes the shave. The one thing that Dave brought up that I didn't like is the fact that you don't have very many scented powders that match because I'm all about matchy. The soap, the aftershave, the cologne. I want it to all be one, and to have the talc as that. English Fern was one of the first companies that did that. And I agree with what Noble Otter's saying. Powder is underrated. And we're slowly but surely trying to change people. But I think the reason why it got underrated is because of the whole talc debacle, when they were actually using talcum powder rather than cornstarch and stuff like that. And there was never really any true proof that it caused that, those medical afflictions. But most of it now is inert, and it's good stuff. Real quick from Dan, I started cutting my own hair because there's only stylists around me, and I thought I can give myself a crappy haircut and save $25. Well, and here's something that's also going to piss off some people, and I don't really care. The term stylist is like putting a big S on your shirt and saying, I'm Superman. That's all it is. Because there are only two things three. There's a barber, a master barber, and a cosmetologist. That's it. The cosmetologist can do hair, nails, hair color, permanence, but very rarely will use a straight razor or clippers. Usually it's just shears. A master barber can do everything. All of it. They're trained in the whole smash, because there's extra schooling that goes on top of your original barber. And then a barber is your barber. A stylist is if, like, I go to California and I go to the Vidal Sassoon Hair Academy and learn different techniques. When I come out, I am considered a Vidal Sassoon stylist. Doesn't mean a thing. It means I paid money to go to a class to learn a product. And so when I see these people with cards that say, I'm a master colorist or a master stylist, that's marketing. And with that marketing says, well, I'm a stylist. I can charge you $100. That's all it means.
Right.
So Dan, I hope that, and you know what, Dan, if you're happy with your hair, who cares? Do it yourself. I mean, we have somebody on our forum, KJ, who does he calls it a mohawk. It's truly a Mohican, but that's beside the point. But he does his own because he figures he can do a better job. And that's great. And he's been to barbers and stuff like that. It all depends on what you want to do with what you have. I like what Dan said. Stylist is Greek for happy hair, for crappy hair. Okay. And I think you're right, Eric. I think you have to call them body powders, but that's exciting. I am really excited about the powder, the talc thing. Rich, final barbering type stuff, because I know we've talked about it. And I know what clipper size you use and everything else. But
I've been going to the same barber for decades.
That's cool.
Until he passed away. And so then now I go to Great Clips, but I've got the prescription that you gave me, 7 free. So I just go
Mhm.
into any Great Clips. I say 7.3, and they
Right.
know what to do.
Right.
But
Yeah, I think one of the biggest differences between a traditional barber and like a supercuts, and I will, or a quick cuts or a sports clip. The one thing about sports clips that drives me crazy is their marketing that says, "And we give you a hot finishing towel." Oh, shut up. Everybody should get a hot towel. Come on. I mean, and they show this nice buxom blonde giving you a towel or they give you a massage. Well, we do that too. I mean, that's just, to me,
Well,
that's part of barbering. That's part of it.
the funny thing is, every time, without fail, I'll go in there and I get the MVP. So I get the hot towel and the
Right, right,
shampoo,
right,
the whole 9 yards,
right.
which if you're not getting your hair cut, if you're getting any kind of one or two or skin on the side and you're not getting your hair washed afterwards, you walk out of there with hair all over you. And
Yeah,
it's itchy
exactly.
to no end.
And
Anybody
see,
who's
a
been in the
shampoo
know,
is, yeah. And a shampoo is
so
just that's the
they
part of it.
they yeah, and they put the hot towel. Is this too hot? And I'm like, you don't understand. I was like, I use boiling water to heat my towels up to shave, and they're like, how do you stand that? I was like, exactly. It's not too
Well,
hot.
actually, Dan, you've gotten my secret. My secret. I
You
do
could charge
dress.
more.
I could charge more, yeah, if I did that. And but the problem is though, if I did dress like a buxom blonde when I cut hair, I would have to clean up the vomit from the guys afterwards. That would be the only problem. Trunker brings up a good point. Baldness meant less value for money from a barber visit and no discounts for less hair. So I shave my own head instead. Well, what I want you, Trunker, here's something that I do with some of my clients. Get a head shave, a 3-pass, straight razor, head shave, 5 hot towels. You'll never go back. You'll never go back. You'll absolutely love it.
The one thing I wanted to point out, so I've been on YouTube watching various videos. Every once in a while, I'll watch one of your videos, Dave, or
that makes me feel every once in a while. Yeah, whenever.
Well, but I mean, I really haven't been in the traditional wet shaving space in a while.
I'm just giving you crap.
I was really big into the political scene a few years ago, watching a bunch of crap there. But the one thing I've noticed is a lot of the creators that I have kind of centered on now, they're getting sponsored by Henson razors.
Mm-hmm.
And there seems to be a push away from the carts, which is wonderful. Love it.
Right.
It would be refreshing to see the wet shaving community capitalize on that as much as possible.
Well, I want to address that because until recently, see, I was on the beta test team for Black Watch from Seaforth, which was a scent that didn't come out until his beta tester did that, and so I was sent the full Monty, and then most recently, Doug from Adopted Acres sent me a soap to review, and I did it with a little bit of misgiving because anytime, in my opinion, that a YouTube channel is sponsored, sure, it's great for marketing. They make more money when they monetize. But I've always in the back of my mind, and anybody who's been watching some of the videos on YouTube, there has been some recent dust ups from sponsors to creators where the creator did not necessarily give the sponsor the review that he was expecting. That to me is the inherent problem because like when Doug sent me the soaps for Adopted Acres, I was very honest. I said, I don't know what I'm going to find. I don't know what I'm going to see. I don't want to know what I'm going to smell, but I am going to be honest, good or bad. Now, it wouldn't be negative, but it would be constructive. Now, fortunately, that didn't happen. So I have kind of mixed feelings with sponsorships because a lot of times if somebody sends you, I mean, let's face it, if somebody sends you a tool of some type and says, hey, I want you to review it, the expectation, whether the sponsor wants to admit it or not, is that this is going to be positive. Now, if the sponsor comes to you and says, I want you to sponsor this and I want 100% honesty, that's a different story. but you don't see that very often. And what I've seen is I've seen sponsors and creators get into major dust ups because the review wasn't the same, or the sponsor didn't fulfill what he said he was going to do. So I think as long as there's a clear expectation on both sides, and believe it or not, even in writing, to say, hey, this is what's going to happen. Because as we all know, YouTube channels are no longer, hey, let's go watch a YouTube video and go from there. There are millionaires making YouTube content, millionaires. That have, once you get to 100,000 subscribers, you're making money. You're making a career out of it. You get to some that are 2.3, 2.4, 2.5 million. These guys are millionaires. They're making $100,000 an episode, and so I think to address what you said, Josh, I think it's a balancing act. I really think it's a balancing act. And I think what Eric is saying is true, is that the reviewer, make sure the sponsor knows that the review will be completely honest. And I think, and I can only speak for my channel, I think I've made that apparent, because I will tell somebody, hey, this is sponsored. Now, I've only had it happen twice. So mostly it's my payment. And if I buy something, I'm going to give you the review, good or bad, and I think what you're saying, Josh, is important. I think it's good for the wet shaving community to have these razor makers reach out to creators to get their product out there. But I think there has to be a definitive expectation on both sides.
Specifically, the one creator that I really noticed was, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Fat Electrician.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so he's a gun guy, but his forte is teaching history, and he looks at things that aren't commonly taught in school.
Mm.
So he goes, and he's probably one of the best storytellers I've ever seen. Like, he turns a factually monotonous story into something you are laughing your butt off for the entire 45-minute long video for his long form videos.
Right.
And he picked up Hanson razors as a sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a full beard. He doesn't, he might trim up a little bit up here. But he read out their statement to him, and they told him, if you don't, which is kind of verboten, you don't read out what the sponsor's asking you to say, behind the scenes. No, he read it out. He's like, hey, that this is what they told me.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I've never had a sponsor tell me that if you don't think this is the best razor you've ever used, you don't need to use it. And they're like, we don't care what you say about us.
Well, and that shows the integrity of the sponsor. O'Malley says the same thing. He goes, and I think a lot of people feel the same way. Is I'm opposite. I question the validity of the review if they're getting free soaps and or as a compensation agreement. And I get that. But being a smaller channel, and you have people to say, hey, try this razor, or try that razor, or try this razor. Well, once again, that's an investment from my standpoint in being a creator. And if it's cheap, okay, I'll give it a shot. And that's why you see a lot of channels that have memberships, or you see a lot of channels that take sponsor, what do they call it? You give $5 to a creator, and because I dump everything back into what I do, and because I am monetized, I have no, I've got enough to maybe buy a cheeseburger once a month, but that's because I'm a small channel. I mean, I'm only 2,000, 2,000 subscribers, but we're building, and credibility, I think, is the currency, and that's why I'm very reticent sometimes of accepting soaps or accepting things. And I think Chris knows this, because Chris has never given me a soap, but I'm very honest with my reviews, and and I think that's important.
Well, you see, Dave, there's Josh. I mentioned Josh had the ability to put into words things that people needed to. Like, even though you're not doing a video, you did a very well written Noble Otter review, which was really cool. If I wanted to pay or give product to somebody, what I'd be looking for ideally would be, obviously, if I can't have a yes man, I want someone who can communicate the features, because it's not, everyone isn't going to like my stuff, no matter what I
Right.
have.
Yeah.
Just communicate it in a way that sells it to
Mhm.
those who want that. And maybe someone doesn't want backwoods Creed, and they know, cool, I don't want backwoods Creed.
Mm-hmm.
Others read it and go, this sounds interesting enough to me, I gotta go. So it's, if sponsors are seeking out channels who are good at communicating, that's what we want. And those are people who are already benefiting the wet shaving community because they're communicating in that kind of way.
Right. And I want to thank Dan. Dan says everything I've purchased from Dave's reviews have been excellent. I can't say that about all the creators. Well, I appreciate that, Dan. And I try to be as honest as possible. And sometimes I can be a little too honest, I think. Chris and I know about that from a few years back. But I think to wrap things up, because we're almost at an hour 45. I think to wrap things up, I think you guys as a panel was perfect for our first show, because we have different perspectives, different ages, different lengths of time in shaving. I mean, when I came out with my straight razor learning series, I approached it as if it was a college course, 101, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106. And I never expected it to take off the way it did, but I wanted to show people my steps for becoming a straight razor shaver, because a lot of people are scared to death to even pick up a straight razor. I was. And then, after a few bloody, times, and to this day, I still do it. Oh yeah. See, now there's Eric. He just gave us, thank you, Eric. I appreciate that. A super chat. And I'm still new to all this. So, but that's good. Have another cheeseburger. I will. And remember when we did our food challenge on Drinks and Days, when I did one chip from every single can of Pringles, it tasted like an In-N-Out burger. So I'll do that. I guess with me, I do my channel because I love doing it. I mean, is it a pain sometimes? Yeah. You get up on a Sunday and you go, oh, I got to do a video, but it's just fun, and those guys that know me on the forum, they don't watch it because like, Jesus, another one for me. We see him every day, and I get that. But I want to thank you guys for our first episode. I think it was a great episode. I mean, I feel honored that Doug, Chris, Noble Otter, I feel honored that you guys actually spent the time to come on this show as our live show, and we're planning on doing it. But please, those of you in the audience, if you want to see more of these live shows, just put it in the comments, because this video will go is recorded and will go in the archives. And I'm just going to say this now: the next time we do a live, we are not going to use the vertical format. I had it for both, and Nurse Dave and I experimented with it, and the audience hated it because you could only see a certain amount. So there'll only be one feed from now on. But thank you guys so much. I'm so humbled. I hope you and your families, and I'm going to talk to most of you aside from, but those of you in the audience, I hope you and your families have a fantastic Christmas, Hanukkah, Festivus, whatever you want to call it, and a good New Year. And we're planning hopefully to do these shows once a month, because Dave and I do our shows once a week, and then I've got the video. So we'll see how we can work that in there. But I will say this to plug Drinks and Dave's. Our next episode will be sometime in early January, but then around mid-January, tell me if I'm wrong, Dave, we are going to be doing a beer tasting.
Beer.
So that's beer tasting. So that'll be fun as well. So anyhow, and also I'd like to ask the panel to stick around after the end of the show, just to debrief, so to speak, as they say. So again, Noble Otter, all the people that joined, Eric, Doug, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. And we will see you again very soon. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. We'll see you again real soon. Have a happy holiday.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Dave.
Uh-oh.
We're still playing.
I know. Just hold on a minute. Yeah. Go amongst yourselves for a second.
The files are
so
in.
There we Hey, if
Check it out.
that's the only glitch we had, I'm happy. Thanks, guys. I thought it was a great show. I really did.
Dave, the files are in the computer.
Yeah, I know. That's okay. I just